Have you ever listened to an amazing track and just wished that you could make something as amazing? So I found recreating iconic tracks in my DAW to be amazingly powerful in learning the secrets and the techniques from the masters of dance music. So I took on the challenge of recreating the iconic Energy Flash by Joey Beltram, and in the process I worked out exactly what synth he used, even though that information isn't available anywhere online, and I learned the value of a synth parameter I've always been a bit scared or not sure how to use. And actually that is how the classic whoop 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 sound is made. So let's dive in, have a look at why this is such an important track, exactly what synth was used to make it, and all the other details of how this track was made, to give you some powerful insights and techniques to transform your tracks, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this for years. So what's the big deal about this track, Energy Flash?
Energy Flash was some other dish. You know, it was really some other dish. I think that broke the back of a lot of things. You know, it was just so different. It
was made in 1990 by New York producer Joe Beltram when he was just 19, and it played a huge part in the development of techno as a genre, even though
I thought I was making house music. You know, I just thought I was making house music, but with a different edge.
Where was Joey Beltram's head at when he made it? What was he trying to do?
I still was like 19 and being rebellious. I didn't want to do music that was popular. I wanted to do music that was cool, underground.
This track inspired countless artists and producers in the electronic music scene. So how exactly was Energy Flash made, and what can we learn from it to improve our productions? So if you want to get some inspiration, insights and techniques into your inbox every week from me, hit the link and join my mailing list. When we talk about drum machines, we often talk about the 808 and the 909, but there's another one that has amazing sounds and is used in this tune. The kick is from the 909, but then we have the closed hat and the open hat of the TR-707. Amazing sounds, cut through the mix really nicely. Then we have the rim shot. '909 clap, then we have this affected clap, so we have this clap, then one with reverb, then we have this 909 crash, then here we have the 707 tambourine, adds a lot of energy, really like that one. Then we have this ride cymbal coming in. And then it's a question of bringing things in and out. So let's move on to the bass. What was used to make this amazing bass and the standout womp, 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 womp? So I combed the internet for clues, but there's nothing there. I was about to give up when I came across this interview with Moby, and he said that he'd bought Joe Beltram's Jupiter 6. I don't have a software version of the Jupiter 6, but I have a Jupiter 8, and they're quite close. So I fired that up, and immediately I was able to get much closer to the bass, and I was able to get very close to that womp, 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 womp sound. So yeah, there are two particular elements of the synthesis which make me completely sure you use this synth, and we'll look at that in a moment. The sequence is quite simple, it's just one note, but when I started using this Jupiter 8, I saw there's a velocity sensitivity on the filter. That was a massive clue that this is the synth that was used, because that's an easy way of getting a change in the sound just by changing the velocity. If the velocity was fixed, it would be but if it's with that, we can change it. And I might even bring it down a bit. And it's just fat as you like. The other thing to mention about this is I'm using an inverse envelope mod, which, so on this, normally this would make the attack longer, but this makes a kind of... So just before we look at the iconic sound, let's look at the rest of the sounds. So there's some kind of synchronicity, because here's Paul Hartnell talking about here in this track.
I think for me it was hearing it for the first time about 7 in the morning at Stonehenge Krusty Festival thing, the Spiral Tribe. I was saying, right, I'm going to go to my tent now, I've had enough. And the sun was coming up and someone just started playing that, and I just thought, what the hell is that? And it just sounded like how I felt, do you know what I mean? This crazy sound.
And I think this sound is probably a big part of what makes it so kind of crazy and mad. And of course this is sampled basically from Orbital, from Chime, and they sampled it from this. I just like the connection there, that's kind of cool. What other sounds do we have? So we have this, Ecstasy. What's interesting to me from a production point of view, so this is from here, and I put it into this simpler. And I've looped this little section because it's played at 2 different pitches. But then we have this ecstasy. I was really happy that I managed to recreate that bang on with just this little pitch bend here. Without that, it loses something, and maybe in the mix you wouldn't particularly notice it, but I think it really adds something kind of spooky and weird to the vibe. So then we have this pad. This was pretty simple to recreate. It's just, I'm using a couple of oscillators. And then we have this choir backing it up. And that sounds absolutely bang on to me, and that's the Korg M1. So yeah, I just used this patch. And then finally we have this nice effects noise. It was pretty quick for me to recreate. This needs plenty of resonance. So I've got one oscillator on noise. And then we've got the LFO with a bit of delay so it doesn't start off straight away, but it comes in. And then we've got a long attack on the filter envelope. So it kind of, the filter comes up and the LFO comes in. Okay, so let's dive into the absolute pinnacle of this track, which is the lead. I can't remember how I stumbled upon it, but basically I'm using a bit of cross mod, and that's like the secret. So when you're making a sound, there's a few things you need to recreate, like the amp envelope. Whoa, whoa. And you can hear the whoa is the filter moving. So we've got without the filter envelope mod, but then with the filter. Also, we've got the VCA level right up. This is giving it a natural distortion as well. Really, the key to the sound is this cross mod, which is something I rarely use because it generally sounds really crazy. So. If we just raise the sustain of that envelope, then we get that longer sound. So I've put that in like this. I just put it in as automation. So basically this is one oscillator modulating another. So we're hearing oscillator 2 now, but it's being modulated by oscillator 1, and this is the amount. So if I change the waveform or the range of this, it'll affect it. So just a really hypnotic little sequence. So I'm also sure that the change of the sound would be recorded in. It's actually really easy and effective to use this kind of approach in modern DAWs. For example, rather than just having a soft synth playing a MIDI part all the way through your track, I like to get a MIDI part that I like and a sound I like, and then record a long chunk of audio while tweaking the knobs on a MIDI controller. You can add so much life and movement to the sound that way. But there's another vital technique from back in the day that you really need to know if you want to make great music, so check out this video to find out what it is.